What's up, guys? Good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. It's absolutely freezing in Rome. If you're in Rome, I mean, it's freezing. I haven't felt this cold in ages. But let me know where you're watching from. Very interested to know that, as always. Right, Gasperini's press conference reaction to tomorrow's game, to tomorrow's return after the break in Cremona against Cremonese. A tricky game. I'm convinced that tomorrow's game is going to be a tricky one, because it's not. It's one of those games in a complicated ground against an organized team, which makes it hard. So I'm not here to repeat what Gasperini said about the game, because Gasperini understands the difficulties in tomorrow's game. There are three things which I want to focus on today's press conference. As always, it was a press conference with the attention to detail. And I normally notice this because when you're out for 2 weeks and you return, you're like, where did we leave each other 2 weeks ago? So again, it was getting back in the rhythm of asking these questions. And as always, after this 2-week break, one of them asked Gasperini, what about dreams? Do you believe in dreams? Can you work miracles? Of course, all linked to the Scudetto question. But first of all, shout out to everybody who's watching this. Hit the like. I'm going to get to comments in a second, so pop your questions in the chat. I'm not going to keep it too long, I know, because there's football going on. Juventus currently playing in Florence, 1-1, which is not a bad result. Crazy game this afternoon between Cagliari and Genoa, 3-3. And then Bologna, guys. I mean, Bologna are pushing hard. They really are. They've got same points as us, of course, with one game extra, but up to now, they're same points as us in Inter. Bologna are definitely very underlooked. And I remember what I said when we faced them in game week 1. We need to be lucky that we're facing them now, that they're confused, that it's the first game week of the season and players are still on holiday. And that was the best, that was probably the most underrated result that we've achieved this season, because I'm not sure we would beat this Bologna side if we would play it now, especially when they're picking up form. Bologna are a very dangerous team, and I think Bologna have proven to be, ever since they had that run with Thiago Motta, they've proven to be, they've proven everyone that they're not a one-season wonder. Everyone was convinced that they were a one-season wonder team. They're proving themselves, and they're proving everyone wrong year in and year out since that season. They're a dangerous team, and they've got, they built a very good team. So I'm very lucky. We should be very lucky. We should retain ourselves very lucky to have faced them in game week 1, because we now beat them, and we don't need to play them again until the second half of the season, of course. Okay, the first focus that I want to touch on is Ferguson, because everyone expects Ferguson to start tomorrow. Everyone does. But Gasperini said that he will be available tomorrow, but that he still has pain in his ankle, which isn't and doesn't sound very promising. I think Ferguson, I don't want to repeat myself again, but I think Ferguson has been the biggest mystery of this season. I call him a mystery because I still don't understand if he was a specific request coming from the manager or if it was a player that he was kind of forced to accept. And I don't understand, because first of all, I'm no doctor, and I don't want to put this case as a strange case, but I find it crazy that it takes him so long for an ankle sprain to get dealt with. And I don't understand if he still does feel the pain, which, okay, I can understand, then why was there a possibility of sending him to Ireland for them to secure the playoffs? If a player is injured, a player is injured. It's not like, whether you're a country who's never qualified for the World Cup and want to opt for a magical run. If you're injured, you're injured. You shouldn't even consider the possibility of going there when you're injured. So the fact that that consideration was made, again, it didn't happen. He didn't travel to Ireland. Roma kept him. But, I mean, if he's still injured, then why was there even a consideration of letting an injured player go back to his country and help his nation? So again, I'm not saying that these are false rumors. I'm not. I believe him. I believe him because he did get injured. It's not something fake. But I mean, I also tend to see this as for him, like, it's either now or it's never, mate. Like, it's either now, and November is almost running off. It's either December for you, or you need to go, because you've ended up being an absolute scrap. Which is why part of me says, I want to see him tomorrow, because those are the games where a striker who's never scored before can get clicking. He won't click out of nowhere against Napoli. He won't. A striker needs momentum in order to click. And the reason he can get... The explanation I can give is, start him tomorrow, he can find the goal. And then he can build his path towards potentially staying. But if this is the player, we can't expect him to start him on next Sunday against Napoli and all of a sudden score. Again, okay, it can happen, it's football. But, nothing is a coincidence. So, my point is, no Dovbyk, no Dybala, no Bailey. Okay, Gasperini said he still feels pain in his ankle, but he also needs to realise, Ferguson, that it's now or never for him. So, it's the last call. It really is. Okay, end of November for Ferguson is his last call. Is his last call. There is no moving away from this scenario. Whether he starts tomorrow and will be fit to play tomorrow, let's look at the remaining games we have in November. Let's look at the remaining games that we have. Cremonese tomorrow, Midtjylland on Thursday at home in the Europa League, and Napoli at home next weekend. We've got 3 games in November. How many does he want to miss? Because it's not like he tore an ACL. That's my point. His time is now. And if his time isn't now, then we need to send him off and get better. Clean and add. Because it clearly isn't working out. Again, I said this yesterday, but I'll repeat it just because we're speaking about scraps. The same discussion needs to be applied to Bailey. This is not something that he mentioned in the press conference today, but it's something that I will add. Up to now, he's been a bag of crap. Both of them have been bags of crap. I know that Bailey's still injured, and so he won't be there tomorrow, so he will have less time. But for Bailey, it's December or never. So, these are players that need to start. I'm not expecting them to go in and start scoring goals for fun, because things like this don't happen like this. But I'm expecting an emotional reaction from both of them. The issue that I've had, and I think Gasperini has had with both of them, is that whenever they played, they looked like 2 zombies who were there, could not be asked. And that's, I think, what irritates the manager. Because you can score, but you can also play a good game with a good attitude without scoring. And I don't remember 1 minute that both of them played with a good attitude. No, sorry. Apart from the Bologna game that Ferguson played. That game he played well, but after that game, I'm focusing more on Bailey here. Bailey looked dead every time he got subbed on. Ferguson maybe showed a bit more, but still, very little. Anyways, moving on. Oh yeah, moving on. I want to quote and read what he said about dreams and miracles, because there was. Like, it was going to happen. It was going to happen. The question about us being first and potentially being first by ourselves tomorrow evening was inevitably going to happen. It was clearer than the ocean in the Maldives. So the question that somebody asked him was, when will Roma's position no longer be the result of chance? So in other words, when will Roma's position in the league no longer be a result of coincidences? First of all, I think this is a very wrong question to ask. And Gasperini, you know, responded in a very honest way. You can like the fact that we're leading the table or not. You can be a Roma fan watching this. You can be any other team's fans watching this. You can like us up front or not. I will not tolerate people who say that this is a coincidence anymore. Because I am the first one to say that there's an element of luck. Absolutely. Everyone in football has elements of luck. And we've had our elements of luck in most games. But to continue saying into December that we're first because of chance and coincidence, in my opinion, is not correct. You're not giving credit enough. Roma is leading the solar year in terms of point by like 8 points. It's not a coincidence. These things are not coincidences. So Gasperini says there's nothing random about it. Maybe after 2 games, it's coincidence. And I fully agree with him. You know, if you're leading the race after game week 2, of course it's coincidence. After game week 11, it can't be a coincidence anymore. Does that mean that we'll win the league? No, absolutely not. But there's a myriad of oceans between saying that we deserve to win the league and that, oh yeah, Roma's shit, they don't deserve to be up front. No, there isn't. Because a team that concedes, 5 goals in the league in 4 months of football deserves respect. I think it deserves respect. I think the best defense in Europe, combined with Arsenal's one, up to now, deserves respect. So, okay, we might not score many goals. Okay, we're not the best team in the league. We all agree on this. But to continue insisting that Roma is only a product of luck, in my opinion, is not correct. I'll be biased because I'm a Roma fan, but I think a football fan agrees on that. And then he asked, "Do you believe in miracles?" I think this is perfect. I think what Gasperini response to this question is perfect. It deserves to get clipped and stuck on a board. There's nothing random about it. Maybe just after 2 games, but after 2 or 3, after 11 games, it means something. After the first half, it will be even more realistic because you've faced everyone. But what matters is at the end of the season. Nobody works miracles. You have to dream, but dreams that come true are extremely rare. We only remember nightmares and beautiful dreams. I think the dreams only happen extremely rarely is the best quote that comes out of this press conference. I get asked questions on Instagram, or when I put like question boxes on Instagram stories, Simo, do you believe in the league? It's wrong not to. It's wrong not to believe. You know, it's wrong not to believe. Everyone is allowed to dream. And I think dreaming, on every point of view, is one of the best things ever. You know, working towards something that you've desired ever since you were a kid. Of course, everyone is free to dream. But I agree, and I've said this on my stories. I fully agree with him. Dreams are called dreams because they happen very rarely. Otherwise, they wouldn't be called dreams. So, if you ask me, are we going to win the league now? My answer is no. Does that mean that I don't believe in it? That I work towards my imagination towards it? No, I do. But my point is, if we were to continue this position and be in this rhythm in March after this span of games, then I'll believe on it more. Right now it's very early. It's still very, very early days. I think the next bookmark that we need to face before answering this question definitely is the end of the first half of the season. Whenever you faced everyone once, you can have clearer ideas. But we still have complicated games. We still have to go to complicated stadiums. So, you know, dreams are called dreams because they happen very rarely. Today is very cold. Despite the rumoured issues with wage agreements, in truly hoping and praying that we can bring Zirkzee back to Italy, and Gasperini keen eye for talent and strategic play will allow him to flourish. I think Roma was definitely a way out for Ferguson to be placed on a bigger stage with Roma rather than not being utilised enough at this previous club. Gasperini tactics take time to adapt. Yeah, I agree, but he never plays. So his fitness is also a problem. Angelino's the mystery. Ferguson is just a disappointment. Do you think we can bring Santiago Castro to Rome? I like him as a player. I really do. But characteristics-wise, I don't think he's what we need. Again, you say you say that Zirkzee is a very similar case. And I agree. And I think Castro and Zirkzee are similar players. But I'm just too gassed with Zirkzee that I wouldn't consider Castro. But Castro is a very good player, guys. He really is. He really, really is. Because I think Zirkzee scores a bit more than Castro. Both of them aren't goal scorers in a sense that they score goals for fun. Because both of them like playing and dropping down. But out of the two, I reckon Zirkzee scores a bit more. And, you know, the more goals we can put in our team, the better. Yeah, and the last question was about the January session. Not about players that we can add. But, you know, a lot of players will be leaving. Also because of AFCON. So, you know, that's another element to consider. That's another component to face. That's another point that will probably clarify our Scudetto positions even more. You know, a lot of players, especially fundamental players like Elanawi, who's growing in Gasperini's confidence, like Ndika, they will be leaving for AFCON and they'll be missing quite a few games. So, you know, can you replace them? Can you add quality? A lot of questions, a lot of doubts still of a team that is building, of a team that is definitely improving, but of a team that isn't league title material, at least up to now. If Roma win the trophy this year, I swear I'll book the ticket to Roma next year to watch a game in the Olimpico, says Hoang. Saying that it's a matter of chance and luck undercuts the strength of Gasperini's tactical logic. A man that is known for attack, yet being without it and having the best defense is no short of a human. I agree. And the best thing that Gasperini has done up to now is adapting to what he has and not making what he has adapt to him. And that's something that I will keep forever because it's so true. The best thing that this man has done up to now is adapt to what he's had, not made what he's had adapt to him. That is why we're first in the league. Let me tell you that honestly. That is why we're top of the league. Because he didn't revolutionize, he adapted. He didn't let every player play like he wants, but rather he entered in the minds of players and adapted to how they wanted to play. Of course, adding modifications, of course. I'll start believing when we get a fucking striker. Right, guys, I'm going to end it. I want to go watch the end of the Juventus game and, yeah. So, let me know your thoughts on this live reaction. I will live press conference reaction. I'll catch you tomorrow for the Cremonese match preview. Complicated game, but a game that can mean first by ourselves, hypothetically, at the end of the game week. Hit the like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Simo out.